Heroism, philosophy notes. This is going to be the first section in a little series here on some of the most inspiring philosophies from my experience from Nietzsche. And these things are really designed to be practical, to really invoke and ask the questions of, what are our values? How do we rebirth the heroic ideal into this modern day, right? How do we really actualize and become who we are? So my friends, I hope you join me along this journey through this stuff and bear with me as, there's a lot here and I'm trying to synthesize it into a most potent message possible. So if you like this style, hit that like button and let's dive into the dialogue, my friends. This is Reality Files. I'm Christian. This is Philosophy Notes number 1. We're starting with heroism before we get into, basically, we're going to lead into values and then setting worthy goals and a little bit on Nietzsche. So, a people are known by the idols they worship. My friends, this is an ancient Greek saying, and it's so true. We once worshipped lofty ideals, the embodiment of divine ways of being. We once worshipped heroic stories. But in the modern day, there's been a death of heroism in the modern race, right? A loss of worthy ideals to live for. Right? Heroic stories necessary to inspire the heroic deeds, right? For self-overcoming and actualization. There are heroic deeds that are required inside of us. Heroic deeds of courage and will, right? Heroic deeds in our life to build our character, But in order for that to happen, we must rewrite or rebirth the heroic ideal, that heroic story. Ours is not an age that wants heroes. Ours is an age of envy in which laziness and self-involvement are the rule. Anyone who tries to shine, who dares to stand above the crowd, is dragged down by his lackluster and self-appointed peers. My friends, right now, when there's a death of the hero within us, when we resign to life, right, we feel powerless. When we feel powerless, we want to join mass movements because the individual, the heroic ideal or heroism itself, seems too big and we seem too small. Like Maslow sat in his classroom of students, and asked, who here is going to write a great masterpiece, right? And everyone blushed. And only about one kid, in every so many hundred would be like, I will, That heroic deed has been flushed out of us. And now when we feel powerless, we drag down or diminish the heroic acts of others, right? We now value being socially sensitive. We value being, and idolize these weavers of words and politicians and celebrities. We value equality, conformity. We value, comfort and security. We value all these things. And yes, we can value, love and health and happiness, right? But if we're missing the high hope, if we're missing the one aim, the heroic ideal, if we're missing the true value, our life will be for naught. See, at the end of the day, values create the manifestation we see. The reason we do what we do is a product of our values, and we have a really messed up value system these days. Either that value system was given us by some book, by some pastor, by some parent, by society, by the media, right? All these whack value systems that aren't on the basis of reality, nor will carry you to your heights. We must rewrite our value system, right? Some words of Nietzsche. We need means of a new and higher values. Values which, as laws and guides of conduct and opinion, are now to rule over mankind. And just as the old system of valuing, which only extolled the qualities favorable to the weak and suffering and the oppressed, has succeeded in producing weak, suffering modern race. So this new value system, reverse system of valuing, ought to rear a healthy, strong, lively, courageous type, which would be a glory to life itself. Stated briefly, the leading principle of this new system of valuing would be all that proceeds from power is good. All that springs from weakness is bad. My friends, if we look at the state of the world, man, there's a lot of misery and suffering and almost like feeling of meaninglessness, right? And it's because we haven't been able to clarify new values for ourselves, to be the creating ones, right? I have known the noble ones who lost their highest hope, and then they disparaged all high hopes. Then lived they shamelessly in temporary pleasures, and beyond the day had hardly an aim. Spirit is also voluptuousness, said they. They broke the wings of their spirit, and now creepeth about and defileth where they gnaweth. Once they thought of becoming heroes. Once they thought of becoming heroes, but sensualists are they now. A trouble and a terror is the hero to them. But by my love and hope I conjure thee. Cast not away the hero in thy soul. Maintain wholly thy highest hope. Nietzsche, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is one of the most inspiring books I've read, and we're going to be reading highlights from that soon here. Maintain wholly the highest hope. So, my friends, let's talk about values, because to understand the hero within us, we must start by understanding the hero's values. To live a valued life, we must act in service of values. You are always serving something. The question is, who or what will are you serving? To live a valued life, we must act in the service of values. My friends, this is one of the hardest things for us to do culturally as in the modern day. Hard for me, myself. So hard. Is to create self-directed action. Self-directed action. To serve our own values is sovereignty. Here's the thing, my friends, is we were raised going to school, being told what to do, how to think, right? By everyone. And then we get out of school and we're either being told what to do by a boss or the media, or we're just reacting to life circumstances. And we have very little time where we can actually start practicing the sovereign principle, the ruling part of man, right? Where we can start breathing and get clear with that ruling part of us and practice self-directed action in alignment with our values. To do this, we will train our own will. We have lost the capacity to direct our own will because we don't practice that sovereign peace. And we can't practice that sovereign peace unless we have clear values that direct that action, right? If all we value is a happy life, is living, like happy and an easy life, if we value that kind of as a good life, right? In our spare time, we're probably just going to eat and consume things and, drift through Netflix. But if we value a higher hope, if we aim the arrow of our highest hope, our highest longing, if we really consider our full potential and what it would mean to live into our higher self, where God's will can actually be manifest into earth, where we get to know our true self, where we create our own values that serve us and we them. These are true values. These values are formed on the basis of reality, forged and tested by real world action and experience. So the question is, my friends, is who is your hero? What's that image to you, right? I used to read a lot of fantasy and fiction books and historical fiction, even I love historical fiction right now. Reading Musashi and The Gates of Fire and these Celtic, historical fictions is like you get in touch with the fact that the ancient world had heroes everywhere. It's what they idolized. It's what they glorified. And there's a reason for it. When we no longer have clear stories or a clear image or clear examples and role models of the heroic ideal, right? Then we're required, like we are in this modern day, to create our own image of that hero. I've been craving a role model my whole life, but have yet to really find one. So from books and the ancient ones and past masters and my own imagination, you can create your own hero. And in that creation, you can ask yourself, how would your hero handle this? Let's say, you aspire to be an enlightened saint or prophet like Jesus. How would that hero handle this situation, right? In my mind, my hero is someone who can rise above this stuff and establish a new way in this world. I really value freedom and expression. I really value tribe and walk in creating a new way that's sustainable, that's eco, and soul, like in eco and soul communion, right? Who is the embodiment of that in my mind? That's my hero, someone who can serve that higher value. What's that image to you? And by getting more clear on that hero inside of us, we can ask, what would that hero do, right? And it's going to lead us into part 2 of these philosophy notes, right? So the question is, my friends, is what is the good life for you? From here, our value system is derived. Ask yourself, what is the good life for you? What is your highest hope? Is it to live easy, or is it to be doing what your deepest self wants to do? Is it to be delighting and dancing, through the creative challenge, right? What is the good life for you? If we reset this image on our highest glory, on our highest potential, right? Even though it's scary and we have fear and doubt and all these things around it, if we can say, wow, a good life to me is not free of struggle, but embraces struggle with a great disposition towards it because its value system is iron. The good life to me is to be living in community, in tribe. The good life to me is to be having schools and education and teachers of the ancient wisdom of living. The good life to me is having freedom to travel and new, fresh experiences that I learn immensely from. The good life for me, is like leading many. So like that's the image of a good life. Okay, what is required to get there? This is where the hero is born from. Ask yourself, my friends, what is worthy enough to give meaning to the struggle and challenge of life? Guess what? Life is not about the pursuit of happiness. Life is about the capacity to affirm life by loving challenge and suffering. Life is inherently has so much suffering and challenge, loss and pain, right? But if we live for pleasure and these kinds of things, we will not have the meaning to have, the strength to go through challenge of life. For instance, like waking up in the morning and going for a run for me. That's suffering. Like, that's not fun. The little self inside of me doesn't want to do that. But a deeper part of me, an innermost part of me, that higher man inside that wants to be born, to birth him, like the highest hope of man. That's my highest hope, is to birth him, to actualize my full potential, right? And to do that, he affirms that challenge of running and sees it as the resistance, like strength training for his character, strength training to create the pressure to unlock that higher man. What do you deem worthy of struggling for and protecting? In your life, my friends, what will you deem to be worthy of struggling for and protecting? The divine masculine or the warrior question is, what will you stand and die for? I know I'll stand for, wisdom, love, and tribe. What do you deem worthy of struggling for and protecting? When you ask yourself these questions, my friends, it brings you, to points of revelation. But that revelation is not enough. The idea of the heroic story, the knowledge of your deeper values, because we must now program our paradigm with those values. Okay. So what do you deem worthy of struggling for and protecting? Man, I've struggled to make this video. This is the 3rd time I tried to make this video. The reason I'm making this video is because I really value sharing wisdom, crystallizing my own wisdom. I really value getting this message out there and attracting the tribe, right? What do you deem to be worthy of struggling for and protecting, standing and dying for, right? When we get clear on that, what we need to do now is act. Act in loyalty towards it. Loyalty in action, regardless of obstacles or challenges, to one's most cherished values. This is the essence of moral rectitude and the foundation of heroism. Can we act in accordance with those? My friends, it takes effort. It takes courage. It takes strength to realize your values and actually act in service of them, right? Heroism says to integrate those shadows or slay them. Put disaster behind you and get on with your life. There's some more quotes I want to unlock right here. Never mind. Anyways, so acting in alignment with those values, right? And I want to leave you with this before we dive into the next session, which I'm going to do right now, is on worthy goals, values, and action in alignment with those values. This goes into the trinity of manifestation, which is a lot of my great work. And if you want to sign up for the next masterclass, probably coming later this summer, there's a link in the description to, get the notification on the next masterclass. But anyways, going back, and I'm going to leave you guys with this. But by my love and hope I entreat you, do not reject the hero in your soul. Keep holy your highest hope. Thus spoke Zarathustra. My friends, there's 1,001 things to aim at in life. 1,001. I'm going to read, in a future series of this, I'm going to read to you guys a chapter of Nietzsche called The 1,001 Goals. We can set our values on all these things like happiness and love or health or like education, values that are good. But if we're missing the highest hope, if we're missing the one true value that's going to demand and command us to our own greatness, that's going to lead us into our power so that we're not powerless, but we're individuated, right? We must be clear on our highest hope and learn to act in service of it. To act in service of your highest hope is to do what your deepest self wants to do. And by doing what your deepest self wants to do, you become who you're meant to be. And by becoming who we're meant to be, that is where heaven on earth comes from, my friends. Thank you for watching. This is Reality Files. If you guys want to talk to me one-on-one, apply for a free session, link in the description below. And I'd really appreciate it if you liked this video, commented. All those things help this video on search. And yeah, I just want to get these messages out there. I really appreciate every time you share this type of content. Blessings, my friends. May peace and strength be with you, and may you maintain wholly your highest hope. I'll see you at the next edition of the series.